Obsession is very scary, but how? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen this many people rave about how scary a horror movie is in a long time.
I'm obsessed with this movie.
I'm literally shaking. I'm honestly still in shock.
But why? Why are people so horrified to see this movie? The film uses a pretty clever filmmaking technique that makes the audience very engaged and stressed throughout the entirety of the movie. And today I kind of just wanted to talk about this one particular technique they used and why it works so well in the movie. But before we get into that, let's talk about jump scares for a minute. What makes a jump scare actually scary? I would argue that the jump scare itself is not scary. The tension that builds up to the jump scare is ultimately way scarier than the jump scare itself. Something changed over the last couple years of horror movies. We have become desensitized to the regular old cliche jump scares. Because of this, movies need to start changing how they create scares for the audience. A good horror movie doesn't rely on cheap jump scares to scare you. Think of Hereditary. I would say a lot of people would consider this one of the scariest movies of all time. And there's good reason for it. The movie doesn't rely on cheap jump scares to get you scared, but rather lets you sit in fear at what's going to happen. The movie doesn't bet on you getting scared at a monster jumping at you, but betting on letting you watch its unpredictability. Hereditary is scary because it makes you wait in this intense build-up, only for the payoff to be the most extraordinary thing you've seen.
And you always fear what you don't understand.
Nikki is an unpredictable character, which is very important to how the movie instills fear into you. Think of the entirety of the movie. Was there ever a cheap, like, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 jump scare? The movie forces you to watch a scene where you don't know what Nikki is going to do next.
Thrill me! What the fuck? Nikki, stop! Oh my god!
That's the scary part. Typically, horror movies want us to question, what's in that dark corner? Instead, we need to focus on the question of, when is the jump scare going to happen? But how do we do this? Says you and the little man on the computer screen. Well, it's the camera, of course. Filmmakers can use the camera in creative ways to subvert our expectations without the audience even realizing it. Let me do an exercise real quick. Let me show you a little something. Just looking at the singular frame from this movie, what do you think happens to this character? Without even knowing the context of the clip or even knowing what movie it's from, you probably guess that a car comes and hits the girl. And you'd be correct. But how did you know that? Let's take a look at the frame again. You probably knew because of all this empty space in the frame right here. Even if you're not into film that much, you subconsciously know something is off and needs to fill this frame. It just looks too empty. It also doesn't help that she's standing on the street alone, and we have seen this exact same framing and cliche for years.
Concerned.
You see what I mean? And you can't get away with this cliche anymore because the audience is paying way more attention to these things.
A modern horror audience is actually very smart, so let's not treat them like they're dumb.
Now, let's say we're the cinematographer of this film. How would we make this scene way more surprising? What if instead of them talking on the street and her walking onto the road alone, we could have the characters talking both on the street with the exact same framing? See, now the question changes from what's going to hit her to when or who is the car going to hit. This builds way more tension, keeps the audience engaged, and takes the split-second scene to a way bigger surprise. So why have I been talking about the bus hitting trope? What significance does it have? What if I told you there was an identical cliche that uses negative space to scare audiences? Well, I'd be lying. To be honest, most horror movies use negative space to scare you. The bus hitting trope is like a scary movie jump scare. It builds tension by a character stepping onto a road, but then we have to leave this really big space for the bus. When planning a jump scare, you need to leave room for the monster in the frame of the scene, so that in the build-up, they can pop out and scare you. So whenever the tension is rising in a horror movie, you're always left with this uncomfortable amount of negative space. You always know when a jump scare is about to happen because they have to film it in such a specific way. Obsession takes this negative space tactic and flips it on its head. Typically, jump scares are pretty weak when you expect the audience to not know where it's going to pop out. Preferably, we treat the audience very smart and we expect them to know where it's going to pop out, and we toy with them by making them wait. Now, Taylor Clemons is the cinematographer for Obsession, and he uses this exact same tactic to give one of the best scares in the movie. The car scene is great, but it's not because we don't know Nikki is coming. We definitely know, but it's because we don't know when. From the very first car scene, the frame is always leaving this window completely open, intentionally leaving this negative space to let your mind wonder when she's going to come. This builds tension every time Bear is in the car alone, which is a lot. I remember even squirming when Bear calls the number on the back of the One Wish Willow, because it also leaves this negative space and I thought Nikki was gonna pop out. This allows the audience to feel this tension even when the scenes don't have Nikki present, allowing the eventual payoff to feel way more earned. The narrative setup is important too. Nikki the whole movie has Bear attached to her hip, and when they separate, she freaks out. So when Sarah sends a text to Bear saying they need to meet up, we know that Nikki is going to wake up and eventually freak out. Now, when we're in the final car scene, the camera is placed in the exact same framing as the other scenes, except this one is on Sarah. The negative space we've seen is still here, and we know something has to fill this frame. And we know it's gonna be Nikki who's gonna come through this window. We just don't know when. When the pieces have been set up for the actual scare, it becomes torture to sit in that car scene and wait for that long for her to eventually just bash her head into the window. It's crazy how just a little change in how you shoot a scene can so heavily impact how the audience experiences a movie. This is such a creative way of using negative space, and it's way more entertaining and surprising to do this instead of the negative space being here only right before the jump scare. Also, count how many times I've said negative space in this video. I'm really scared I've said it too much, but I can't think of an alternative. Obviously, this is a very specific scare and doesn't apply to the whole movie. We talked about the extraordinary type scares earlier in this video, and yeah, that's way more abundant in this movie. That type of scare is also abundant in Curry Barker's earlier work. I don't know if you guys have seen The Chair, his short film, where he also does this like time manipulation thing to give these unpredictable characters this uncanny valley feel. Kind of like how Nikki does that walk and that one thing, you know what I mean? Listen, obviously horror is subjective. What you might find scary might be completely different from what your friend finds scary. But looking at the fans of the movie, the critics, and the box office numbers, it's clear that this type of horror is striking a chord with people. And I think it's important we learn why this movie in particular is scarier than other horror movies we see. Why does this movie scare me, and in other scary movies I don't feel anything at all? This movie does a great job of scaring you. And honestly, it's thanks to a great direction from Curry Barker and the talent of Taylor Clemons. Wow, what a video that was. Man, that was a good one. I hope you guys liked that video. I worked very hard on it to not make it boring as hell, but I hope you watched it and were fully entertained, and thank you for watching till the very end. I know I haven't done an analysis type video in a while. I know, I'm very sorry. I will definitely get better at my uploading schedule. I want to upload more analysis type content for you guys because I think you guys enjoy that the most. More than anything, excuse me. The last analysis video I did was the Studio Ghibli one, and you guys seem to enjoy that. And thanks to you guys, I know it's now pronounced Studio Ghibli and not Studio Ghibli. Thank you guys for enlightening me on that. If you guys somehow saw this video first and not the Studio Ghibli one, go please check that out. I worked very hard on that one too, and you'll probably like it. But thank you for checking this video out and watching it to the end. It means a lot. Let me know if you guys can think of any other film stuff you guys want me to talk about, any other topics or movies you want me to cover. I will try to get to them, and I would love the input. So yeah, and subscribe to see more videos like this or my other work too. Also, I make short films. I recently made one. It's called Withdrawal. It's literally only 1 minute long. So even if you don't like it, at least I won't waste your time. All right, thanks guys so much for watching. Really appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see y'all later.